This meeting is being recorded.
Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today on Hercules and the Space Gods, I am proud to bring you the UFO Entity Enigma. And today we're focusing on cosmic tricksters. And we have as our panelists, the legendary Tim Swartz. Greetings and welcome, Tim. How are you?
Hi, Hercules. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on today. I'm just going through my files right now, looking for good talking points for tonight's show.
Oh, awesome. Thank you very much. And we have the incomparable Nick Curto. Greetings, Nick. How are you?
Hey, thank you for your very, very kind words. Never better. Really looking forward to tonight's show. It really has my interest.
Awesome. And we have, last but not least, Mark Brinkerhoff, who's connected to cosmic forces and will offer us his unique perspective. And is Phyllis joining us tonight, or?
The hands.
There she is, in the hands of Phyllis.
The hands of time. Oh, thank you, Nick. Thank you, Hercules, Nick, and Tim. Wonderful to be here. As always, an honor and a privilege to be with you guys, all of you, in this time.
Do you think that Phyllis is sometimes going to put her foot up instead of her hand?
She could, but well.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh my God, Phyllis, you are too much. You really are.
You know, Pisces in their feet, right? Pisces.
I'm in my nightgown, so it's not a big deal.
Oh, yes, it is. Feel free to come on screen, please.
And now people can boast that they had a foot sighting of Phyllis. You know.
A foot sighting. Wow.
She will not, guys, she will not be on a picture anywhere.
It's legendary.
It's just known. You come to a photo, she's in the background, she will figure out a way to do this or have the hair, blonde hair. It's just one of those things, because we know how people, well, no, I won't tell anybody anything.
It's okay.
It's just the way it is. And
Okay. All right.
the hand is good.
We love you. We love the topic, by the way.
Yeah, no, I thought we should get a meme of Phyllis as a cartoon character, and we'll pull it. Like a little cartoon on cardboard.
I need an avatar.
And an avatar. That's it. That's what I meant. The avatar.
I could ask Cal, who is a puppet maker, to make a puppet that looks like Phyllis. How about that?
That would be fun. Wouldn't it be fun?
Or her arms.
I'll ask him. I will ask.
All you guys would be great.
We would be great. We should have a. You know, they have Comic-Con.
Because we have limited time tonight.
Okay.
All right.
We will move to the topic, and we will deal with Phyllis's hands to feet on a
It's the
paranormal
tricksters.
episode.
They got us going.
The tricksters again.
Now, I have been interacting with all sorts of things on a variety of different levels my entire life, and I've shared this. Back in the day, I was a deep trance medium. Back in the 70s, I used to lecture the Theosophical Society and so forth. I've been a paranormal investigator, and I like doing things like meditating and astral projecting and lucid dreaming and all that type of things. So I like exploring other states of consciousness. And in the process of doing so, regardless of which level exploring, you encounter things. And we've already discussed in the show how not everything is as it appears to be, especially when we've addressed the UFO entities, that they can shift shape, they can appear to you in ways that will appeal to you and communicate better with you. And oftentimes they will warn you about other types of entities. And I remember this goes back to when I was in Greek parochial school. It was the devil that the priests were warning us against. And then in Greek mythology, it was the titans and the monsters that were there to deceive you. And then later on with theosophy, it was the Dukpas or the red hats, who are like the evil ascended masters who are out to thwart you and deceive you. So this is part of the spiritual path. But how do you know, and each of you is an explorer and each of you explores in your own way. How do you know who to listen to? What criteria do you use? And we'll start with Tim today.
Oh, goodness gracious. And if you hear strange noises in the background, that's one of my own demonic spirits. I think
Okay.
demanding to be let into the room with uh, his incessant meowing, and that's how they manifest themselves in my house.
My dog will do that sometimes too, and
Uh-huh.
jump on my lap and lick my nose in the middle of Zoom stuff.
Well, I guess that, for myself, I always tend to um, just go in the direction of not going out of my way to actually try to initiate contacts along these lines. When I was younger, naturally, I mean, we played with the Ouija board and had seances and stuff like that. And, I mean, nothing fortunately really ever came about it. A lot of gibberish and, some curse words and things like that. And I generally always tell people, first of all, follow my same, tack, and just don't, just say no, don't do it. Because the majority of the time, I mean, you get on the Ouija board or any kind of anything in an attempt to call down the spirits or the alien gods or what have you, you're probably never going to get what you're looking for. Emanuel Swedenborg, I mean, as far back as he was, and I'm not going to quote this exactly, but basically he said, when the time comes that like the spirits start talking to man, you shouldn't listen to anything that they have to say, because everything they tell you is lies. And I mean, he wrote this back in like the 1600s.
And he wrote tons of books too, though, about what they said.
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, and he had, all kinds of contacts, himself. And, I'm not that well versed into Swedenborgism. I'm sure that he had ways that he knew the difference between his angels and his contacts with, because, he claimed that he actually traveled to other worlds and met other beings. So it's interesting, because I was just putting together a book right now for one of these books that Tim Beckley was wanting to do before he died. It was a collection of his old articles. And one article that I came across was one that I actually wrote, and it was called "Calling Down the Alien Spirits." And it basically it's a compilation of different channeling sessions with alleged extraterrestrials. And there was one, the Greetings from AFA, which was the case in 1959 with Major Robert Friend, who was acting chief of Project Blue Book. And he got involved with a channeler who claimed to be channeling extraterrestrials. And they actually had some situations where they would ask this channeler. One was a question and answer session, and one of the questions that Major Friend asked was, "It's very interesting that we're talking with someone that we can't see, but can we have proof of your existence?" And the answer was, "Well, what kind of proof do you want?" And he said, "Can we see you or your craft?" He goes, "Well, when do you want to see it?" He goes, "Well, right now." He says, "Well, go to the window." And they went to the window, and they were shocked to see a UFO that was saucer shaped and brighter around the perimeter than in the center, that was flying outside the house of this channeler, whose name, by the way, was Frances Swan. And I'm not sure right now if that was a pseudonym or if that was actually her name. Long story short with this is that these space beings started prophesizing catastrophic events, that there was going to be really like an apocalypse or an end of the world at a certain time. And that some of the people who were involved in this group, because some of these earlier predictions had come true, really got into it and thought that, yes, this was going to happen, and, did all these things that, we've heard time and time again throughout history. Some of them sold all of their belongings, estranged themselves from their families, went into hiding, expecting this cataclysmic event to happen. And of course, nothing happened. And we've seen this time and again. We see it with certain kinds of religious prophecies. Certain Christian fundamentalists will predict that, well, according to verses in the Bible, we've figured out that the world is going to end next week. And, people get all upset, nothing ever happens. We've seen the same things with certain UFO types of prophecies. And again, it's a situation while some of these early predictions, especially a promise that there's going to be, if you go outside on a certain night, you'll see us flying overhead, and they actually will see craft. Some of them will be predictions of minor earthquakes, maybe volcanic eruptions that actually come true. And then it's like, well, there's going to be a mass landing on October 5th in New York City. And so everybody gets all excited. Maybe they'll actually go to the media, and then nothing happens, and they're made to look the fool. So long story short is that we have the cosmic tricksters, and that's exactly what a lot of these things are. I'm sure that there is a positive element out there. Mark Brinkerhoff is a great example of the type of beneficial and upper light range beings that are out there that really do seem to be there to help humanity, but it just seems like that unless you have really trained yourself or taken the time to work to heighten your consciousness and your abilities, if you just start going at it without taking these proper steps, then you're going to call in probably the lowest of the low, entities. It's like I tell people, that want to play on the Ouija board to try to contact these beings. I said, it's really akin of just getting on your phone and dialing a random number and expecting to talk to an ascended master. That's not going to happen. So it's the same way with these kinds of situations. You're going to come in contact probably 99.9% of the time with this trickster element. A lot of times that's all it is. It's just a trickster without any real serious consequences. On the other hand, and depending on your personality, where you are in your life, you can also attract the lower realm entities that will manifest themselves as either demonic spirits or badass extraterrestrials. I mean, we've got these cases. Seems like South America gets a lot of these where people will run across a landed UFO and these beings will come out of them. A lot of them have been described as looking like almost like miniature Bigfoot, little and hairy and with a very bad temper. The witnesses will be attacked and clawed because a lot of times these things were described as having hands with claws on them that were almost like of iron or steel, just very hard. And the situations don't turn out well for the eyewitnesses. Whether there is a connection with what I was talking about earlier, that are we dealing with just an extraterrestrial races that are just not nice for want of a better term, or if it is a situation where we have a physical manifestation of the lower plane of realities, tricksters that will harm you. So to bring this to a close, let somebody else have a chance. My suggestion always is just that don't go out of your way to try to solicit this kind of contact. It rarely ever turns out well. If you're in a place in your life where you have had the proper training, the proper mental abilities to actually be able to accept and be open to the higher light manifestations, then they will come to you. You don't have to actively seek them, because when you're ready, you'll be open to them, and they'll find you, and you will know the difference between them and some of these other darker realm entities. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much. You said a lot, and given us a lot to think about, and it all makes sense. Swedenborg did claim to visit other planets, and his book on the subject is phenomenally fascinating. When I lived in Pennsylvania, there were Swedenborgian communities around near where I was living, so I had a chance to learn more about Swedenborg. In what you said about the contacting beings, earlier today in the show that we had, I was speaking to a magician, not a rabbit out of the hat magician, but a ceremonial magician, and we had touched on this topic too. And it's like, if you've never been outside and you don't know what outside is all about, opening your front door and randomly talking to people, you might come across somebody who's very wise and knowledgeable and good intentioned, or you might be talking to a mass murderer or somebody. You have no way of knowing, you have no way of judging the quality of the person that you're talking to. And considering the fact that we don't always make the wise decision, even with incarnate, solid, quote unquote, real people, when we're dealing with beings that we have no way of really understanding, what the parameters of their reality are, and what they're associated with. It's a very risky undertaking. Back in the day when I was doing deep trance mediumship, there were all these steps. There were people who knew how to guide you through a trance, and there was a spirit called a control. That's what they called it back then. So that when you went into a trance state, that spirit was one that was familiar to you, that you've had for a long time. And it was that spirit's job to allow certain entities to come close and to keep others far away. And I haven't heard anybody talking about controls in years. So, back then, operating without a control was considered to be very foolhardy and dangerous. But nobody talks about controls anymore. People feel that they're in direct contact with, celestial beings of all sort. So thank you for giving us all that to think about.
Yep, my pleasure. I should add, I just thought of this while you were talking about this. Paul Eno, he always talks about how, he thinks that there are entities within our reality. I mean, maybe they, exist in our reality, maybe they exist in alternative realities, but they're able to come into ours, that are basically predators to people. They have the ability to disguise themselves as like either, friendly spirits or ascended masters or extraterrestrial beings in order to feed off of our energies. So, I mean, you have to take that into consideration as well. I mean, and it, to me, that sounds very plausible because, we always like to think of ourselves as the at the highest level of the food chain. But we think about the physical food chain and don't consider that we may not be that high up on the astral food chain, so to speak.
That is definitely something I'll comment on it quickly. That is very, very true. There are beings that feed on like emotions, and usually they fall into the heading of like hauntings. And every haunting that I investigated back in the days when I used to investigate hauntings, there was some spirit in the house stuck in a particular like emotional loop, I guess you would call it. And we cycle normally through emotions, like switching channels on a TV with a remote. That's how internally we are. But these things will keep you stuck on a particular range of, of energies to feed off of you. So a lot of times, like when you're investigating hauntings, there's like, you'll experience profound depression or other like really negative emotions. So you have to be able to distinguish whether you're feeling something or whether you're feeling something else feels something. And it's a difficult task to learn because it's hard. We don't have a vocabulary. Our culture doesn't really focus on our internal world as much as our external. But with experience that comes, like I have no reason to feel this way. This might not be me. And then, if it lightens, it wasn't you. But it's very easy to get stuck on that. And houses have a history too. If somebody is suicidal in the house, oftentimes there'll be several other suicides or homicides or abuse type of situations, that are stuck to different locations. And anyway, we're going to move to Nick Curto now. And Nick has had many stories of being told to look for UFOs and the UFOs being there. So we'll pass the baton on to Nick.
Thank you, Hercules. It's a great subject we're focusing on tonight. I think it's very important, and we need to use everything we can to get accurate readings of what's in our lives, and that goes all over the place. I have to answer your question. I'm going to go deep into my parents. I want to start there because I think that's a really good place to start. Right from the time I was a small child, I realized that my parents were incredibly insightful, really were. My dad could read people really well. He just had that knack of knowing who was on the level and who wasn't. And there were some people who really played the word game, and he could see right through them. And I know many examples of that. My mom not only also was very good with people, but she had an intuitive sense that to this day I admire. They both have passed on now, but I feel as though I inherited from them some very strong intuitions, insights. I credit them very much. I feel as though I had a more than an average start to try to discern the truth from the lies. And that has been a very big deal with me all through my life, my mom especially was intuitive. And as I grew to know her more over the years, I realized that she had a lot going for her, and she would let us know a little bit about that, but there was a lot more there. One example is her maiden name was O'Shea, and they came from Tipperary, Ireland. And I've always wanted to go there with her. And I always wanted to go with my dad, where my grandfather came from, was Ada Lacana in Italy. And so I saved my money and took them both, one time to Italy and one time to Tipperary. And by the way, it's a long ways to Tipperary. That song is exactly correct. It was a long ride. I'm telling you that because when we were in some historic places right in Tipperary, one particular place, the Rock of Cashel. And if you ever get to Ireland, don't miss that. You go on this mount and it's a very flat piece of land. And all of a sudden, these gigantic rocks are like spring up from nowhere. And many, many, many years ago, they built a cathedral, a graveyard, and other structures there. Now, they're all long time abandoned, but if you go there with a guide, they'll take you there. And it's a very mystical place. And when we got there, we were walking past the cathedral, and a long time abandoned. It has a very mystical look. And my mother looked at me and said, "Nick," in a quiet voice, "Are you feeling anything?" And I said, "Yes, indeed, I am. It's electric. You could cut it with a knife." She says, "Yes, me too." And that's just one example of what was going on. So intuitiveness, I think, is a big deal. I think that you can develop it. I think that you really can, like a muscle, you can use it and develop that. And I've had many experiences with that. I've also had a lot of experiences with both negative and positive people. I'm sure we all have.
Yes.
And when you're even in the same street or room, you get vibrations. And I tell you, as I'm getting older, it's getting stronger. And I feel very attracted to certain people. And I feel the vibration is strong and warm and good. In some cases, I feel almost a loving presence, even though I've never met them. It's just, it radiates. And also, on the same token, again, on the street or even in the same room, there are people that can come close, and I'm getting very negative feelings. It's not just subtle; it's there. One example, I think I mentioned it on one of our other podcasts. It was an afternoon. It was sunny. I was in a big supermarket on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. I bought a couple of groceries, and I was heading towards the cash register. It wasn't that crowded at that point, and all of a sudden, I got this bone-chilling warning that was just, it would blam, it was there. And it said, look out, there's something dangerous, and it's right near you. And I had the sense that it wasn't in front of me, it wasn't on the sides. I felt as though it was directly in back of me. And it was a strong, powerful feeling. And as I turned around, there was only one man in back of me. There was no one else around. He was dressed in a very dark clothing, and his face was kind of down, so you couldn't really see his face, but it was strongly coming from that person. And as I got to the cash register and paid, I was thinking, what in the world is going on? And paid for my groceries. He came in back of me, standing like 2 feet in back of me, and the vibration was even stronger. Look out, this is very, very bad. This is dangerous. And I got left the store. I went right up 3 blocks, went up in the elevator to the 25th floor, locked my door, and thought, what in the world was that? I'm not a scaredy cat, but this was like a warning. It was very strong. Do I believe that that was a real deal? I do. It was very real. So what exactly was that happening? Who was that? I don't know. But I just know as though I was being warned. Either my intuition or something else was perhaps helping me to realize that there was danger. I talked to a policeman one time, and he said, if you're on a street and you feel as though you're being watched, take that seriously. Don't not take that seriously. Go with that. If you are alone, try to go maybe towards the street level, not where there's trees and dark bushes. And if you feel like you want to run. Just go ahead and do it. He said, trust your feelings, trust your intuition. And that's from a policeman who's been around the block a lot. And I really believe that that's true. There have been times when I have had, one particular time was when we were, we being about 15 people from Disclosure Network New York, my group. By the way, this is our 21st year of very heavy duty. I can't believe it's been 21 years. And the people that we've met and are meeting and that are in this group right now, it's a dream come true. Absolutely. Anyhow, we were in Central Park and we deliberately went there at nighttime, about 9 o'clock. We played Dr. Stephen Greer's hour-long meditation about trying to make contact. And we had loudspeakers so we could hear it. We did that. And then a few people had to leave, but the majority of the people stayed. Again, we were concentrating on contact. Here we are in Central Park, with 3 airports around us and all the people and all that. But it was night. There weren't a lot of people in Central Park. And after we got through with this recording, we were just simply talking with about 10 minutes after that. And all of a sudden, one of the quieter members of our group screams, "Oh my God, turn around and look up." And we did, and there was 3 white lights slowly coming from the southeast towards us. Now it was probably very high up in the sky because you couldn't tell that from stars, except that these 3 white lights were moving in unison. So they weren't stars. We didn't know if it was 3 separate vehicles or whatever you want to call it, or one ship with 3 lights, triangular, one on each end. And as it got closer, again, way up in the sky, but when it went past the star was blocked. So we knew that it was one triangle because the stars weren't showing. So when it got over us, again, there was no sound of any kind. It stopped. It absolutely stopped. No sound, no wind, but it was right up above us. You could have hit a pin drop. It stayed there for about 30 seconds and then continued northeast on the same path. Now, we had cameras and recorders. Do you think that anybody, here you go, do you think anybody had the presence of mind to take a picture or record? No. We were so stunned. Here we were trying to do this, and we did. Somehow we succeeded. Or now, people have said, was it theirs or ours? And that's a very good question. Was it actually an ET craft? It could have been. Or was it a craft that we had re-engineered, we being a government, some agency, and it was that. But something monitored us, obviously, because it stopped directly over us. So we were being monitored. That's just an interesting point. There's been a lot of other examples of that feeling that we are being watched. There's been a lot of examples of that in my group and personally that I felt as though we're being monitored. And sometimes it's a very strong feeling. I don't know about your other guys, but you might want to share that too. If you feel as though there's something that is monitoring you, that's checking on you. And we felt that a lot in many different instances, that there was something else going on. So again, my bottom line is, although you can be deceived, look to your intuition. Use that as one means of discerning truth from lies. That's not the infallible, but it's certainly one way to start monitoring what's going on. Also, just in general, there's a feeling of love and peace that comes on, or something that's negative and almost fearful. And those are very high energies that you can sense. If it's something that you fear or that you're intimidated, chances are this is not good news in general. Now, I have to say too, there are people and governments that will spin things and name things so you think it's good when it's really not. There are people that are masters of words to make you think it's good when it's not good really. And that's another thing you've got to look out for.
Thank you very much, Nick. And yes, we should trust our intuition. I will throw in there the cautionary tale that I'm a big, hairy guy. And I used to wear a lot of leather. So I used to set off people's alarm bells, even though I really am pretty harmless. I wouldn't harm anybody. But words don't mean the same thing. We started talking about this before the last show that you were on. And then we had to start the show. But like, for instance, the word daemon, which is where we get the word demon from. In Greek, it means intermediate spirit. So any intermediate spirit, one we call a demon nowadays, or one we call an angel, was a daemon in ancient Greek. That's no longer the case. And if you go with the modern understanding of that word, if you go back to the antique, you want to understand what they're talking about. An angel could be an intermediary spirit, but it could be you. So if you went and delivered a message, the word is angelos or malach in Hebrew. So you were an angel in that instance for real, because the word meant something different. In human terms, noble and gentle, we know what they mean now, but you could read accounts from the Middle Ages where noble and gentle people hacked apart peasants and raped them, because noble meant you belonged to the nobility, and gentle means that you were part of the landed gentry. So words change, their meaning, and it's good to know that, because a lot of times when you go into the past, like for right now in terms of UFOs, I'm encountering a lot of people writing terrible books about the archons, and there's all this paranoia about archons. Archon means leader, a leader of anything. So if Tim was leading his neighborhood watch, he'd be an archon, because that's what the word is in Greek. And it's the same as the word Lord in English. So you have the Lord could mean God, or it could mean an earthly person who belongs to the aristocracy. And Elohim too. The Elohim were multiple beings, and it's used interchangeably for human and also for divine and also for demonic type of beings. It's a designation. So when we're going and reading a lot of the accounts that are being generated now, trying to explain the negative feelings that you're describing, I would exercise caution, because the ancients a lot of times didn't mean what people are saying that they meant.
Excellent. Yes, thank you.
Okay, and last but not least, Mark.
Hey, I'm not muted. Okay, I keep muted to not, in case I go, I'm gonna get involved. Well, I don't channel. I'm in total contact with my friends and crew, I'll have to say, since before I came here.
You're a lucid remote
So
viewer.
Phyllis has also coined a lucid remote viewer, but I've never channeled. I also have the intuition and feeling and all that when you're being something's coming by and it's negative or evil or positive and friendly, whatever. And I've, like Hercules, been in haunting places and worked on helping spirits that are there. And usually exactly what Hercules said, you'll see me shaking my head, because they are stuck at houses or places or buildings or castles or pubs in England from something that happened, maybe depression, murder, suicide, and other things. And they'll just replay those actions. And beings have come, like let's say our angel friends would come to try to help them, like even their own guardians, but they wouldn't recognize that. And they try to help them move on, but they don't want to. And I actually, it's a weird story just came into my mind. That's not that weird, but I was talking to somebody about it the other day. A person above me in our apartment had passed away a couple of years back, and nobody was in the apartment. The whole place was gutted. It was empty. Nothing's there. Just painted walls. And I was typing on our computer in our living room, and it was around 3 a.m. And I'm hearing voices upstairs and walking around. And it sounds like a little argument is going on. And I hear other men talking to one person who I knew was the person that was deceased, was stuck there right now. He's not there anymore, but he was then. And I knew he was depressed. And I actually went up there and did a little blessing, and that helped him get going, I think, what happened later. So I'm listening to these voices, to the footsteps going back and forth across our living room ceiling, as there, I think the angels came to try to help him come home now, come on. And he was arguing. And finally, all this noise stopped. And I went up there, I just spoke out to the ceiling. I said his name. I said, I hope you're taking them, going with them now, because you've been stuck for a while. And other things would happen. He was trying to get my attention before that happened. He was always trying to get attention. And one day I was typing again at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'm above, I hear a rolling marble off of like a table that's not up there. There's nothing there. And it rolled off, bounced, and you can hear it bouncing on the floor like a round, big marble, not the little one. And it goes boom, boom, boom. And it goes rolling along and stops above me where I was sitting in the living room. And I said, okay, Johnny, I hear you. You know what you're doing. I said, just move to the other side. What are you doing here? Then another time I was finished working in the living room and on our computer, and I went into a bedroom. Phyllis was sleeping. And I went in there sneaking in to do something there, and I was going to go back out, and sound like somebody dropped a giant bowling ball upstairs on the floor, bang, really loud, really loud. And it jumped me. And I looked around, Phyllis didn't wake up. I listened for people upstairs, nobody walked around. And I went, Johnny, because the spirit these people, they can do that, make the sound just for you,
Right.
really loud. And I'm telling you, he was always doing something to jump me, like to, get my attention. I'd say, cut it out, Johnny. So that's when I talked to our super at the time, and I said, do you have a key to go up there? He said, absolutely nobody's up there. He says, yeah, sure. I said, I'll go put a blessing on the place. I just want to go do the blessings I do with my oils and water. And I did that for him. And because I wasn't, no one could go up there, so that he let me in. And he said, stay as long as you need. So I went through all the rooms. I was talking to Johnny. I'm sorry I'm saying his name. I just realized, but it doesn't matter. I didn't know his last name. So I was talking to him and I said, you gotta go home. You're just moving around here. Just open your heart. Talk to someone is on the other side, at least your mom or dad, somebody. And he was kind of apologizing for the things he was doing because he was wanting attention. He just was wanting attention. So he did, once I did the blessing, it calmed him down. And like the next day was when I heard the talking back and forth up above our living room. And then it sounded like he went. And so after that happened, no more sound, no more anything. And he was home. He left. It's nothing happening now. Other people are up there, nothing happens. So this went on for, I think he was stuck for almost a year. So I just wanted to let you know that happened.
But don't forget the one where you went out of
body
on the ship and met the tricksters.
Yeah, I met trickster spirits on the starships around the earth here, and alliance groups that work with us on the high realms. But these groups and alliance ships work within the etheric energies as well as first, second, third plane, fourth plane, like that. So they're working around here. I was out of body, and so was Phyllis, but she didn't remember this one. But we were out in our overpart selves, and we were on the other ships that we're on. And it would be above the earth we could work too. And we were transferred over, and we just got permission. We went over to an alliance ship nearby. And they said, the captain of that one, leaders and that one, Hercules, the Archon leader, the leader of that ship. I never cared about Archon word. People are telling me all these things. I say, it doesn't matter. You know who you know, that's the way it is. But friends would tell me Archons is negative, it's bad. I don't know. But when you said leader, that totally makes sense. Totally. So we were invited to go to that ship, this other alliance ship, which had human-like people in it too. There were still space people. They kind of look Earth, but not exactly. They still had some of those bigger eyes like that, but they looked more human. They could walk on the planet if they needed to. So I was in an 8.5, 9 foot form. On my higher part, when I go out of body. I'm not Mark when I'm out of body. I'm somebody else.
Right.
And people have said, and they meet me, and Phyllis is too when she's in her over part. which we would call over self, higher self and things. So we invited to the ship. Once we get there, the crews are talking with me telepathically, and they're saying, we feel it's important. We wanted to get your attention to come to the ship because we have something happening. We think that maybe you'd be interested in, because, but they were setting me up, but they didn't want to tell me yet. So we said, okay. So Phyllis and I go over, and I'm going to make it short. They teleported us basically down to a next floor in the ship where they can hold people or spirit people, let's say spirit people, but even though they're people on that frequency, spirits to us, but not on that dimension. So they were holding them in a frequency that they can handle, which is not of a high frequency. It's of this low frequency where they play with people, the tricksters. So when we came down, they're held off in a frequency. That's their frequency. I love this story because we learn more from it each time, because when I told it to people, they go, wow, that was weird. You know, even when you analyze it, it's really weird. The people were held in a frequency that they can handle. Like being on a ship, they might have a different oxygen, let's say, and Earth people would be put in another room so they can handle it. That's kind of like this. So this was a frequency, and there was no room, but there was an alcove that they were in with seating, but there was a frequency vibration setup that we could see as a frequency, just a little shimmer. It looks like a shimmer, that's all. It's like a wall. Even think Star Trek. Think that if you want. When they had people in prisons and stuff, they would have a frequency wall. So you can't go through it. They can't go through it to us on the other side of that wall. And the people on the other side of this frequency were of higher dimensional planes or higher planes, let's say. So but they told me, these are people they got a hold of on the planet Earth within our frequency dimensions, this where we are here in the first planes, this area, and they held them. It's almost like you got them and now they've held them because they want to interrogate them. So that's what we thought was happening. But as soon as they told us that these are the people that like to do the tricks on people, I said, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. So when we went to talk to them, I'm about, again, 7.5, almost 8.5 feet tall. They're around 6 feet, Earth sizes, we know. My height, 5'7" or 5'3", it didn't matter. We had women and men, about 9 people total. And I'm looking at them through the other side. Now they say, this person wants to talk to you. So I come over, and one of the guys who I think was the leader starts razzing me. And he's going, so what are you going to do? You're going to tell us, oh, you can't do that. That's bad karma. Are you going to tell us something like that? And I said, well, I know that you're tricksters. You are the tricksters that we talk about. And they said, what? I said, well, you like to, it's too bad you like to do this, to harass people that are trying to maybe do a channel, innocent child. They're innocent children. They're trying to channel or meditate, and they're asking for something. And you're looking at them in their energy fields, and you see what they want to hear and what they're thinking about, because they see thought forms and things. Right. They can't read your mind, but they see thought forms, and then they know what they're into, like channeling a master, channeling this. So they see that and they go, I'll be Ashtar, and you'll be Saint Germain, and you'll be Mary Magdalene. You know, they just do that. That's exactly what they told me they do. But I've watched them and I've seen them do it around people who do channel. That's why I try to get people away from channeling, because they have no idea what's around them. They can't see them, but if they could, you don't want those around you. So these people are those types of tricksters. So I said, well, I'm going to say what you're doing is bad karma for you, but I know you're on the other side here on this, where the Earth is, and you're harassing the people. We always call them the innocents on the planet, the children and the innocents, because they don't mean anything. They're just trying to help, or they're trying to get help, and hoping for an angel or light to talk to them, but they don't know how to protect themselves, and they don't know what to expect. And that's what these beings say they wait for. The open channel, they say, well, they open themselves up so we can go in, and we can do that. And I said, well, you're not supposed to. And I said, well, we like to. They said, it's fun. It's fun for us. And they get the energy, like we say, take the energy when things get crazy or fearful, or when they're misinterpreting who's talking to them. They don't know exactly who is talking. So they take that as to be, oh, I'm actually in contact with, Yehoshua, or I'm actually in contact with Venus, something, or Aphrodite, whatever name, any name, they will pick a name and they will use it.
Right.
They know what you like. And that's the thing, people, that's what it is. So I said, look, and they were razzing me. I'm not kidding. Like, it's like, nah.
What are you gonna do about it?
What are you gonna do? Right? That's what they did. Phyllis is right. That was one of the things. So what are you gonna do about it? You're gonna tell us we're gonna be this? You can't hold us here, because they're right. They're free will. They only held them to talk to them, like to give them a look. You should change your ways and cut this out. Get on to your moving on. Stop this nonsense. So I said to them, they said, what are you going to do about it? And what I did is what they didn't expect. Because the people that we were on the Alliance ship know that we're here right now on the physical planet, that I'm walking, as they call it, and all that. So I have a reason of being here anyway, but I had no karma for this planet. I didn't have to come here. I came in to help get Phyllis to come home to where we're going. And we have other things we're doing on the other side. And there's other reasons why we came to get Phyllis, besides what's happening to our planet now in the solar system. So I said to them, I said, well, and I walked through the frequency into their space. You got 8.5 foot tall person.
We lost the sound,
Oh,
Mark.
okay. I don't know what happened. I saw it suddenly, a sign went up. So you have like a 8 foot and change person walks into their frequency where they are held, and they didn't expect that. It keeps muting. Sorry about that. I just noticed it did that again. Okay. I walked in and they got scared. They backed up real fast, especially the one that was razzing me the most. And I came up to that guy and I said, look, the reason we're trying to help you is I know who you are. I see you. I know your signatures right now. And I know you're the types and your friends that are harassing people I know, people that we don't know, all around planet Earth, meaning well, trying to get a good message. And these guys are the fakers, and they're doing that. And I said, we know this because we've seen it. I've seen it. And I saw people doing channelings in the 70s and those times.
And they said, what are you gonna do?
I saw the people around them, and they weren't the people they thought they were channeling, like Mario.
Right.
Or Kuthumi or something. So
Yeah.
And I know him. So I was like, so these being said, what are you going to do about it? This one guy who was scared. When I said, we know you, and I got your signatures, I know what you look like, but that doesn't matter. I know your frequency, and we know your frequency, what you're doing. And as soon as I said that, a few of the people behind this man turned their faces as if not to get eye contact now, because in the eyes you can see more. So they were a little scared. And I said, the reason I can do this and tell you this is that I'm on the physical planet right now. And they went, what? Because they thought we were from space. Well, I am. But the thing is, they thought, oh, that's one of those other guys over there. And I said, no, I'm on the planet right now. I'm a walk-in. I'm totally conscious of everything. Before I came here, where I come from, where I've been to Earth in millions of years. I know it sounds strange, but we've been prompted to say the truth more and more. I wouldn't say it 20 years ago because I thought people would never understand it, but the truth is the truth, and I'm here to tell that. So I said, I've been here for a long time, and we've worked in this solar system and galaxy. So I said, we know who you are. I'm on the Earth right now in a body, and I can make a lot of noise with friends on podcasts and radio shows, and I've been doing it for a while, but we tell them what you're about and what to look for, and you guys have to get out. And the main thing is you have to protect yourselves, the people, the children, we all have to protect ourselves, but that's a normal thing we should be doing. But the person channeling, if they don't know how to protect, these kids show up. And so that scared them. And they said, oh my, that guy got really upset when I said, I'm on the planet now, and we're telling people, we know who you are. And we're going to tell them how to protect themselves. But mostly, as Tim was saying, it's not a good thing to try to open yourself up to things that you don't know about. The Ouija board's one of the worst. It's an open channel into your house.
It's dowsing and everything else.
Dowsing, yes, some of that. Yeah,
Cards,
exactly.
Tarot cards.
Tarot cards can do that same thing, even though it's metaphors. It still calls in, because my friend who's on the other side now, I knew him in school. He was playing with the tarot cards in Florida one time in 1976. And he was just playing the game, just playing with it, just testing it, intuition. He was a metaphysician and psychic too in that way, but he was doing stuff with it. And he flipped up a devil card and another kind of card. And he said, "Oh, look at this. I was just doing that." I said, "I don't know whether you should be doing that." Anyway, he didn't do any prayers or protection of anything with light. As he played the cards, I saw a shadowed hand come over his hand on top. And I watched it from the side as it did that. Then he said, "This is a terrible, I'm going to do it again." He does the whole thing, just starts laying it out again. Comes up with evil cards, really evil. And it kept, I'd seen a shadow on top of his hand. So I said, his name was Steve. I said, "Steve, every time you're doing that, there's a shadow, a person's shadow that comes over your hand. That's a lower astral people." He says, "You're kidding." I said, "No, that's why you're throwing these bad cards. They're playing with you right now." He said, "That's it. I'm packing this up." I found that the next day he actually took them put them in a bag with rocks in it and threw it into the river. So he said, "No one's going to get them." So nothing floats away. I said, "Well, that was a good thing." Meanwhile, the hotel was haunted that we were in, but that was just showing what's going on. This is how they play games. And like these astral people that we were talking to on the spaceship said, we look for openings. When they're open and they say they trust in their open channel, a big opening occurs as in the solar plexus. And I've seen it with channelers. They have holes in their energy fields, and this tricksters are putting their little shoots of energy through to touch into their solar plexus or into their back or around their neck, wherever they feel to get to it, even sometimes here, where they do things with their mind to the person. But didn't understand, people don't understand it's what they do. And when they do drugs, alcohol, different things like these plants that everybody's using right now for psychedelics and drinks or whatever they're doing, that opens holes in their aura, and the creature, these things come through, as well as these other things that are on the side we'll call creatures, because they do look like creatures. They come in to do stuff. So there's a lot of things. There's a creature that looks almost like a monkey that actually will attach to a person on their back. And so in the joke, remember the monkey on my back?
Monkey on your back, yeah.
Remember that? And it's not a joke, but people say, "Well, I have the feeling." But what it is that creature that attaches around them that actually resembles a monkey-like creature. It's not a monkey. It's very creepy looking, but that's one of those types of beings that take energy and try to put a person into a bad situation, take the energy of fear or shock, and they love that stuff. And I actually got rid of one of those.
They feed.
Yeah. I
And
got rid of one on a friend's husband.
You're getting into some of the territory I wanted to get into today, so we'll have to do a part 2 on this at some point very soon. Does anybody have a question they'd like to ask each other? Thank you very much, Mark, and Phyllis's hands and feet. Thank you. Does anybody have a question they'd like to ask anybody else?
I want to point out something that that Mark was saying, about the monkey on your back. Robert Monroe, in his book Journeys Out of the Body, he had just almost an exact same encounter. It just immediately made me think about that. He said that one of the times when he was out of his body, he wasn't far away from it. He had just lifted out, and he said he got the impression of his impression was that it was like a small boy that just suddenly came up and got onto his back, like you would ride a horse. And he said that he grabbed its leg to try to pull it off, but the leg just stretched, like it would like Stretch Armstrong or something like that. And then he started to get panicked, and another one came and got onto his back. And, he was, like trying to pull it off, but the limbs would just stretch, and he was getting frightened, and he was crying. But then he said all of a sudden, a light being appeared next to him and pulled these things off of him and just cradled them in its arms, and they just went limp, he said. And he said later, when he had another experience, and instead of getting afraid, he said he just reached over and like patted it on its shoulder and then went back into his body. And he said that he never had that experience again. So I did just, that just, you're describing that, just that my mind automatically just went to that story, Mark.
It was weird because the one that happened to my friend up in Michigan, her husband was very depressed and having problems. A lot of things were going wrong. And when I went out to go check him out of body, I saw the monkey on his back, the creature that's looks like a monkey, but it's
Remote viewed it.
I remote viewed it basically because I was home, and I did a thing to help and got rid of that creature, and talked to it and everything, got rid of it, cut it out with the angelic help. And when he came home, we talked the next day to the wife, or who's our friend. She said when he came home that night, after we did this during the day when he was at work, he came home for the first time, friendly, happy, not depressed. And he said, wow, I feel great. Something's happened. I don't know what. And our friend said, well, we've been praying for you, doing things. And he says, wow, I feel like a big monkey's been lifted off my back. Because he was doing this. She said he was walking like this. Now he's walking like that. So that's part of the symptom the person feels. It looks like depression. And those are what we call, they say spirits of depression, or spirits of athlete's foot, or spirits of a backache. And when you call them out and you get them out, you say, hey, you entity, get playing with that, and you get them out through Christ and other things you could do. But mostly I do it with Yehoshua. So I call them and they just run. They don't like that at all. And that cuts it off, and all of a sudden pain's gone, nothing's there. It's the way it really works. It really works. So we got our thing is to keep praise of the infinite creator around you in love. Just keep praising creator for the beauty and the joy you have and all the things of life and everything you've been given before, now in your day, and what's for the future. And you just keep that praise. These creatures hate that. They hate it and they run away from it. So that's one of my techniques for protection for people who just don't even have a belief system. Just praise. It's called praise and worship and other things, but it's not religion.
Gratitude to creator.
Yes, it's gratitude, thanks. What a beautiful world. Forget what we see, forget what we're looking at right now. If we look through all this stuff that the humans are doing, it's a beautiful world. The world can handle itself, even if we're not on it. So it's a beautiful place. And the nature kingdom are beautiful beings. I mean, some get mad and, maybe, but not my friends. But there are some, and they're called jinn people, that don't play with those kind. But that's from another country where they set up, but they are pulling them into different countries right now through their rituals that they do. But those are tricksters too. They're pretty bad. They're tricksters. They come off friendly, like the friendly genie, and then he tricks you.
That's a whole other category, and it's part of the UFO series we'll be looking at, because jinn are now appearing as UFO entities as well. And they're very old and very ancient, and they share this planet with us for a very long time. So thank you very much, Mark. Nick, you had your hand up?
Yes, I have a question. I'd like to address it to all three of you. And that is, this is a very troubled time. I think that I think a lot of us feel as though we are under a tremendous amount of pressure. Some of my friends have said, not since World War II do they feel that kind of tension of the whole world. So it's also right now, I think we can agree that there's a lot of deceit, a lot of lies all over the place, and it's hard to know where the truth is. So the question is, some people who are spiritual and religious pray all the time for help, a spiritual help to guide us to a place that's more sensible, that's safer for the whole world. Other people say, would it be correct to ask ETs in our thought transference if they could help us also? And my question is that valid? Do you feel as though that asking for help off planet with others who probably are monitoring us, is that a valid thing to do?
I can answer that before I let Mark answer it. That's the whole point of what we're doing with these celestial groups on the podcast. If we have celestials who are here watching us and monitoring us, hey guys, lend a hand. We're going through a really difficult point, and that is the underlying reason why we have those podcasts. So it's getting to know your celestials and seeing what they can do to to help out with the situation here. So
Well-
yes, I believe that it's valid, the same way with the quote unquote gods.
Yeah.
Some of these forces are very active in helping out. If you could see them, you can see their hands everywhere, and others are kind of a little bit more aloof. So a lot of my activities on that front is the same thing. Who's helping out? Because this is a very difficult time, and we're here, we're doing stuff. So who among the light kingdom is gonna, do stuff as well? And
Now, I gotta
Mark,
really
hold on.
tell you this, guys, fast. Nick, you're right. Thing is, we are here, we are trying to help. And there are groups out there ready to go and trying to help. But the people and leaders who are in charge of this planet have to agree to allow that help to come in, because it's stepping on a karmic-y thing. It's kind of this planet. So it's like Earth people went crazy. They did these things. Now they're doing these things. Now suddenly they're looking for help. It's a karmic thing. Yes, okay, with the planet too. But then if you need help and we call for it, yes, we are calling for it. Put your beams of white light, whatever you can do to call it out. But ask also for the leaders of this planet to be open and ask for their help, because they've come in the past to help and they've all declined to help. They said, we can do this, we can do that. In 1951, they were here. 1952, they were here. And the Day the Earth Stood Still, the original, was kind of based on a different story in 1940s written or so. But it's funny how even Klaatu was saying, we don't, remember at the end of the show, at the end of the movie, we don't care how you figure this out. We're not concerned about if you want to blow each other up. Just don't bring it out where we are. But here, it's the opposite. They're calling out. If Earth people are calling out, and all of us are calling out. And yes, they want to help and they can, but they can't overstep the free will of what's going on this planet with the people in charge. They have to have a kind of a meeting and say, let's call on the help. Let's let it in. They really should have done it in 1951. We would have been so far ahead. And they even promised, we will give you help, all this with help with all kinds of things for health and healing and everything like that. But you have to stop the destruction of this planet and the people, like atom bombs and all that. That's what had happened in the 40s. That's why they came in. It was a big red flag went up on that side where we were. So when I was out there, I remember this happening. I told my father I tried to come in 1920s because I was going to try to come in, but then it wasn't going to work right. I wasn't going to be able to meet Phyllis at the time. So, but we were testing. We were seeing how to get in to come in, because if it's a walk-in, you have to take a body that's going to discard. So mine was going to be a stillbirth. The baby is born, it was dead. And I took it over after it died, and I came in. So the thing is this is it. Free will. Humans have the free will. If the leaders are doing what they're doing now and doing this whole thing they're doing to the humans and the children on the planet, until they all wake up and stop this, a group of these leaders have to at least acknowledge for help. And we thought we had it with other leaders before, but that's how you get them to come in to really help, because the people in charge say, we need help now. We're putting it out there now, like bat signals or whatever.
Mark, I got just one thing I got to get right here, and that is
not just a few. It has to be for the world, not just that group and that group. Right?
We're running out of time. I don't want to keep anybody here beyond the time. So let's bounce quickly, Nick, then we'll share contact information. Yes, Nick.
just a quick thing, and that is, I think there's a lot of world leaders who are the problem, and addressing that to those people are the wrong people to ask. I just had to say that because I really do firmly, and I'm not the only one at all, that believes that a lot of world leaders are the problem, and they are not going to look for truth and help, because they are the ones that are the problem. I think that generally the world's population, the people, I trust them. But so the world leaders, a lot of them are really the worst they are a nightmare. I had to just insert that.
There was a guy that came in the 1960s and so, or early 70s. I talked to a military guy one time back then, and he said there was a guy that came, and they set up a meeting, and it was going to be up on a mountain, probably one of those mountains where the presidents hide or wherever they go, and only helicopters and things can land there. And it was in the deep forests, so air travel around the place in the area was canceled. You couldn't fly over. and a meeting was occurring, right? So they're expecting a spaceship to land. This is back in the late 60s, early 70s, because I talked to the person in 1976. So it was his friend. So what happened is they were all waiting for a spaceship to land, to have this meeting. And no spaceship lands. All of a sudden they see the military guys there with the guns or whatever, see a guy coming out of the woods. Like he just showed up and he's coming out of the woods and they're all, what are you doing here? Who are you? And he says, hi, I'm the one who's meeting. So he materialized in like my friend Balthon, like he met me in the park. So they materialized and came over, took him inside the room, had a meeting. The meeting was basically what we're all talking about, to help the planet, help the people, let's get this together again, free energy, everything you need. Space travel will help you with that. You'll be out there with us working, joining in the confederations of everything like that's in the galaxy. Okay, so that's what he was talking about. And the leader at that time at the table, the military, they were saying, well, we want to do it with you only, us. We want to do it. Oh, no, it's got to be the planet, all the people get everything. The whole planet comes together as one, not a group of people in different places. You're all one family to us. That's what he said. So when they said no, he said, oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to go tell everybody. That's it. I'll go. And they said, you're not leaving. We're not letting you out. This is what they did to Cloud 2, basically, right? We wanted to keep you here. And he said, we can't do that. And they said, oh, we can. Well, don't forget, he's just materialized in.
Right.
So he says, you can't do that. And he says, I'm leaving. And he disappeared. So this is how they do that. So as much as Earth people want to dissect this poor man, who was a kind of we'll say a human looking person, walk among us. And that's what the guy told me. He looked like a regular human, 6 foot and change. You would never know the difference. So this is what they were doing. And this is why, in the Old Testament, when the people cried out to Creator, all the people, they cried out to Creator for help. They were rescued, but it took a while. But the children called out and the Creator heard all their hearts and their blood that was shed. The blood cries out from the earth too for vengeance, in a sense. It's like a child is killed in a murder, and the child's blood goes in the earth, let's say, and it cries out for, why me? What's going on? I need help. So that's kind of a thing that goes on. The Creator knows this. So I'm feeling if we can continue to do our projections like that, and I got the words, I've got a lot of space words that I get from the other side, solar language, and tell you the meaning and everything. I have a folder of them. I'm out of body. I go out there and I get these words. They bring these back. If we use some of our words, besides Adonai, Vasu, Viragas, or Adonai, these are words of light and love. And we call out, the Creator's going to see our hearts are all in the same on this planet. And maybe then we'll give the okay for the other crews and our friends in the alliance groups to come and start doing something. Because they could shut the military stuff off, all the bombs, they just shut them off, which has been noticed and seen, of course. And any bombs in the ocean that were going to go off in China one time, they were testing that in the 70s.
We're going to have to continue.
They were trying to blow them up, and a UFO kept landing and showing up over the ocean, stopping it. So they will do that. And that's what I keep hoping that will happen. And the truth
Thank
will be out.
May it be so. And we have to wrap up. If you could all share your contact information, and this will definitely be a to be continued, because again, we're just now opening the lid on this one. So we'll start with Tim.
You can find all of my books on Amazon. Just go and type in my name, Tim R. Swartz, and they'll all come rolling out for your reading pleasure. My website is conspiracyjournal.com, and I'll have a blatant plug here for Timothy Green Beckley's final book, Dulce Warriors. It's been out for a few months now, and I highly recommend everybody get themselves a copy. It's available both as a physical book and as ebook.
And it is an awesome book indeed. I happen to be in it, and I'm grateful for that. That was one of the best adventures I've had in my life, joining you guys on this journey of sharing this information. Thank you very much. Nick Curto.
Thank you, Hercules. If they have a question or a comment, I would welcome that. My email address is NICKNYNY1, and that's the numeral 1, not ONE, at gmail.com. Again, Nick, Nick, NYNY1 at gmail.com. There you go.
Thank you very much. And Mark,
Thank you. We're at intergalacticmission.com, markbrinkerhoff.com, and etuniversalzone.com. Email is the same on all of them. Mark, M-A-R-C, Brinkerhoff, BRINKERHOFF at yahoo.com. You can get us on all that. If you have questions or want more information, Facebook as well. Mark Brinkerhoff, Facebook.
thank you very much. Anything to add, Phyllis? Well, we
No,
have you here.
you guys did great. Enjoyed this show greatly,
The hand will never.
immensely.
There's the hand, the real
There,
hand.
there we go. There we go. The hand. Okay. Thank you very much to everyone. You're awesome. I had a really great time and I learned a lot. I'm looking forward to our next one already. And I can't talk to a live audience because we're recording. But to all those who tune in when we're on YouTube by tomorrow, I guess, joyous journeys, amazing adventures. And until next time, be well. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Love to all. Love to all.